Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here as we are going to be going through the college football playoffs top 25 rankings just released tonight, Tuesday night, or if you're listening to this tomorrow, last night, Tuesday night. We are going to talk about the few changes that happened. Not very much went on, probably more to talk about with the bracket than the actual rankings, but I have my guy with me here as usual, Zach Guggenheim. Zach, how we doing?
I am good. I am nervous. 5 days away from the greatest rivalry. Yes, I am talking about the game for the axe. Okay, no, I'm not talking about that game, but the coolest trophy. Clearly the axe.
I do think the Minnesota-Wisconsin game doesn't get enough credit for. I mean, it's the longest played rivalry. I mean, it's even 63. What?
I was just saying it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it is, and they have like the longest consecutive streak of games played. I'm pretty sure it's 63 to 63 tied. We'll get into it. We get into the preview, but it's way underrated. People don't give it enough credit.
And like low key, it won't look like on the surface there's a lot on the line, but honestly, there's a ton on the line. I think in terms of momentum, because Wisconsin has been kind of a dumpster fire, and everybody, including kind of yours truly, has been banging the fire fickle drum. If he finishes out with 3 straight wins against 3 bowl eligible teams, 2 of them that were ranked, and wins the axe, that's a lot to hang your head high on going into next season.
Yeah. Let's see who we have here in the chat with us. We got Sam the Man, Hey John, and JR watching from Dayton, Ohio. Sam, appreciate you being here from the OH, our stomping grounds, where we're from. Not Dayton, but from Ohio there. The One says, hey guys, depressed Rutgers fan here.
I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Said Penn State decided to be good again before facing us, SMH. They did. I was thinking about that after the last game against Nebraska. I was like, man, right when Rutgers needed a win to get to a bowl game, their final opponent decides to get good again.
Yeah. I still think the greatest aberration of this season is UCLA beating Penn State. Northwestern kind of makes sense. Like Northwestern's been fairly decent.
Northwestern made sense because UCLA happened, right?
Yes, but like Northwestern is better than UCLA. Like Northwestern is playing good football. UCLA just had Nico be awesome for like a game or 2. And then it's like they went back to being awful.
Nico be awesome, and then also Penn State be awful. Quite the combo there.
Yeah.
Max says, if Ohio State and Indiana go into the conference championship game undefeated, does the loser drop out of the top 4? I would say no. I saw somebody talk about this, and I think the lowest they would have them go would be like 3 or 4 type of deal. So probably 3, because you don't want to put them on the same side of the bracket, and it's most likely going to be 2 SEC teams up there, and you don't want to put an SEC team against an SEC team on their side of the bracket. So this whole seeding thing and who they play matters a whole lot to them. So the One says we need a trophy for Rutgers and Princeton. Call it the OG rivalry or something. That'd be cool if we saw Rutgers and Princeton at the end every year. That'd be really cool.
Is this a signal to who we're adding to the Big Ten next? Is Princeton coming?
If they add Princeton, I throw my hands up at conference realignment. I'm never guessing again. Oh man, well, we got Philip here, Fire Loxley as usual. Billy, appreciate you being here, Billy. Ryan, appreciate you all being here. At the Badgers, I think he's saying, are the Badgers heavy favorites going into Minnesota? Now, Minnesota's still 1.5 point favorite on FanDuel. So
yeah.
We'll get into the preview. Yeah, and it is at home for Minnesota. We'll get into the preview, but first we do need to get into the college football playoff rankings that just dropped. I'll read them off for you if you have not seen them yet, and then we'll get Zach's first reaction. You have Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M at 1, 2, 3 again. Georgia State's at number 4, then Texas Tech. Oregon moves up to number 6. They hop Ole Miss. Ole Miss is at number 7, followed by Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami gets over Utah. Utah's at number 13. Number 14, Vanderbilt. Michigan goes up to 15 above Texas. And then you have Texas at 16, followed by USC, Virginia, Tennessee, Arizona State. Number 21, SMU, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Arizona. Zach, we had a few things happen here. Oregon jumped Ole Miss. Miami jumps Utah. And Michigan jumps both USC and Texas. What are your reactions to the new rankings?
Why is Washington below Arizona?
Well, what has Arizona done? I'll be honest.
Nothing.
I've not watched Arizona much this season.
Here's
they've
what
been irrelevant.
Here's what they've done. They lost by 25 to Iowa State. Last time I checked, they're not a top 2 ranked team, right?
No.
Yeah, or not a top 15 ranked team. Like they're bad. Or they're not bad. They're mediocre. They're okay. They lost to BYU in overtime. They're good. And they lost to Houston. And their wins at Cincinnati, cool.
I mean, we know what happened though. Washington lost to Wisconsin. Washington's not going to get forgiveness. They lost to Wisconsin.
They also have had a ranked win against Illinois.
If Illinois didn't lose to Wisconsin, yes.
I hate it just feels so dumb. I'm like, there are not 25 teams better than Washington. And I would argue that none of their, like, Arizona has no business being ranked.
I mean, I tend to agree with you, but it's just that stupid Wisconsin loss. Like, Wisconsin has been so bad this season that anybody that loses to them is just going to be completely exiled. Illinois is going to have the same thing. They have no chance of finishing ranked this season, no matter what happens, because they lost to Wisconsin. Minnesota, I mean, they don't have any chance of being ranked, but it's going to be the same thing with them. No matter what happens, you lose to Wisconsin because of the way they've been blackballed this season, you're immediately going to be seen as a bad football team because you lost to Wisconsin. Even though it's on the road, you're still going to be seen as that, and that's the difference between the SEC and the Big Ten. Georgia plays Florida close, and people are like, oh, wow, Florida's actually pretty good. The record just doesn't indicate it, but Wisconsin gets 2 ranked wins, and it's like, actually, no, those ranked teams suck, and we're never going to think about them again. So true. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's the logic.
You're right. It sucks because I think Wisconsin is actually a lot better now. I'm not saying they're a top 25 caliber team, but you're going to Camp Randall. You're playing a good defense. They've got a quarterback with moxie. I think it's just frustrating because it's like Washington's being punished for 1 loss when they have lost to 2 other pretty good teams, 2 top 15 teams.
Well, and I think it also sucks because, Oregon's playing against them too, and Oregon's not going to get the credit for beating Washington at Washington if they do beat them,
Yep, that might be a big if.
Yeah, but I mean, it's this is the problem with the Big Ten is that these games where they lose, they don't necessarily lose close, right? They get blown out by Michigan, albeit Michigan pulled away late in that one, and then they get blown out by Ohio State. It's not really a blowout. It was only like 2 or 3 scores, but still, if you don't make it close, it's going to ruin the reputation, which even though you blow out teams like Illinois and UCLA and Washington State, is what it is. I did want to bring up this comment from Snowbird Oregon. Says, thanks for the hard work, guys. I started watching when the Ducks joined the Big Ten. Since the Big Ten Huddle has been my go-to. Well, thank you, Snowbird Oregon. We appreciate you being here. I'm not sure I've seen you in the chat before. If you have been here, I apologize, but I don't always remember. And also, StreamYard has done this weird thing where I don't see people's names anymore. I just see their @ like I don't see Philip's name anymore. It says Uncle Phil. So I know it's Philip because of his like his picture and everything, but some of you, like I think Rafay is up there, but it says the one. So I don't know. It's weird. If I'm not calling you by the normal name I have called you, that's why. So all right, let's talk about Ole Miss and Oregon. Zach, the Ole Miss fans very much so in their feelings. Have you noticed?
I mean, I feel like I heard something from far away. I guess that was from Mississippi, wasn't it?
Yeah. So their whole thing is that they beat Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's a playoff team. They beat Tulane, and Tulane is a playoff team. So because nobody else has beaten 2 playoff teams, they automatically should be up there at number 4, and it's ridiculous to have them below Oregon. Well, Zach, have you noticed that they don't bring up any of the normal statistics they like to bring up in these conversations?
Oh, do continue on this. This is good fodder.
Oregon strength of record, number 5, Ole Miss 7. Oregon FPI 4, Ole Miss 13. Oregon AP poll 6, Ole Miss 7. Oregon strength of schedule 24, Ole Miss 33. Remaining strength of schedule, Oregon 16, Ole Miss 42. Game control, Oregon 4, Ole Miss 11. Average game winning percentage, Oregon 4, Ole Miss 8. I rest my case. If you are an Ole Miss fan arguing you should be above Oregon, you are delusional and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Just go back to your riveting Washington State win by 3 points. Who, by the way, Washington beat by 31. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing. Ole Miss is living off the back of a win against number 4 LSU, who has gotten so bad that they fired their coach. Like it's that and a win at Oklahoma.
And this
without John Mateer, by the way.
Sorry, go ahead.
Or with an injured John Mateer, not a fully healthy John Mateer.
Yes.
You need context.
Mm-hmm. This is my issue with the college football playoff rankings and how they just basically go off what the AP poll does. The AP poll ranks based off the beginning of the season in their preseason rankings. So Ole Miss gets credit for beating number 4 LSU, when in reality, LSU is nowhere near the number 4 team in the nation. Everybody wants to talk about how Ohio State shouldn't get any credit for beating number 16 Texas, but Ohio State beat Texas when they were number 1, right? So, I guess I'll give it to them. They're consistent, but it's consistently bad. The whole reason that you rank teams in week 10, week 11 is so that way you have some more knowledge about what the teams they've played have looked like. At that point in time, LSU fired Brian Kelly. Ole Miss is still living off a win against that Brian Kelly LSU team where LSU fell off the face of the earth. LSU fell off the face of the earth. And they were no longer a good team because they fired Brian Kelly. And also, Brian Kelly beat Clemson, who also fell off the face of the earth, and they lived off that win for far too long. Like, this is my biggest issue with the college football playoff rankings and why I will always say they go too much with the AP poll. Essentially, they just put these teams in order that the AP poll does. They fix a few little things here and there with the head-to-head, and we're still left with ridiculous rankings. Like, there is no reason why Oregon should not be in the top 5. There's no reason why. But of course, they don't have them there because, Ole Miss can live off their win over LSU. I mean, not right now because Oregon moved over them. Thank goodness. But, nobody wants to talk about Oregon getting the win over Penn State when Penn State was number 2 at that time?
Yep.
So, it's just ridiculous.
I think with that, I have a hard time understanding the Texas Tech love. Like, I think they're good. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But again, if we're talking about resume, they beat BYU and they beat Utah, who was 11-13, which granted those are better wins than anything Oregon has at this point, right? Their best win is number 17 USC. So I give them that. But like, I don't know, like their whole body of work just does not feel. It doesn't feel like it kind of feels like, well, they've beat a lot of teams by a lot of points, but you look a little bit beyond, like their strength of schedule, according to Sagarin, 71 compared to Oregon, which is 24. Right? It's just, granted, Texas Tech is a Big 12 team, so this is not SEC bias at this point. They're a fun story. They've got a lot of talent. I do think they're going to be a tough out in the playoff, but I just I don't know
I'm
how
okay
you.
with Texas. I'm okay with Texas Tech because Texas Tech has controlled every single game. They have Jacob Rodriguez, who is one of the best linebackers in the nation from what he's done. I mean, whether you look at the stats or you watch him out there, I'm perfectly fine with Texas Tech in the top 5. Do I think they should be above Oregon? Personally, I think Oregon is a better football team, but I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and argue that it's a travesty that Oregon's not ahead of them or anything like that. And also, I do think that if you're going to give certain teams credit for their quarterback not being, completely healthy or not being in the game,
that's fair.
You need to be consistent with that. It feels like they're giving Oklahoma some of that. It feels like they're giving Texas Tech some of that. As long as they're consistent, I'm fine. But I just hate that a team like Georgia can only win by 4 points against Florida. And the story coming out of that is not, well, wow, Georgia struggled in that one. The story coming out of that is, well, Florida's better than we actually think because they just stuck with a national championship contender in Georgia. I'm sorry, but I don't think Georgia's a national championship contender. I don't think they're good enough.
I might disagree with Georgia, but I think Georgia's starting to trend in the right direction.
I mean, I honestly think Texas Tech and Georgia, I was looking at SP Plus earlier, Texas Tech would be favored in that game on a neutral field.
Really?
Yeah, if you look at SP Plus.
Huh.
I think it was like 4.5 points or something like that.
FPI has Alabama, Georgia, Texas Tech as 5, 6, and 7. But 1, 2, 3, 4 is Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Oregon in FPI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't really use FPI all that much. I use the resume stuff to go against the SEC stuff because it is their kind of like their kind of thing that works for them. And I think it only strengthens my argument if I use the SEC bias machine against the SEC as well. But I would tend to trust SP Plus more, in my opinion. Even though they had Ole Miss as the second best team in the nation last year, which I was like, oh my gosh, that was not good. Not good. Almost lost complete trust in them after that. But yeah. Anyway. Okay, so we have to have a serious conversation here about Michigan. Michigan fans think we're insane, and that's fine. Okay. I'm not here to make every fan base happy. If Michigan beats Ohio State, they should 100% be in the college football playoffs. Okay? Hear me say that right now. They should 100% be in the college football playoffs if they beat Ohio State. The issue is you have two enormous brands sitting right there on the edge. And so Michigan would have to jump, 6, 7 spots in order to get into the college football playoffs. In Ohio State, I mean, they're going to be in no matter what. They would probably be top 5 still if they lost to Michigan at Michigan. But if Michigan wins, they would have to jump over Alabama, who is most likely still in the SEC championship game. And then they would have to jump over Notre Dame.
No, they wouldn't. They would have to get the 10th.
Right. They would have to jump Alabama, but Alabama would be in the SEC championship game. So if Alabama wins that, they're in automatically.
I see what you're saying.
So would Michigan get up above 10th? Would they get up to 9? I mean, you need to be 9 to be safe. You're kind of teetering on it at 10 if you get up above Alabama.
You need help. Which,
and that's what I'm saying. I don't think Michigan should need help. I think they should control their own destiny if they beat Ohio State, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know.
Brian says it's best not to ponder the improbables. That was funny, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's another. So before you go on, there's another thing you have to consider too, though. What do you do with Miami if Miami wins this week? And there is a reality that Miami beat Notre Dame week 1. They could be ahead of Michigan by proxy of you have to actually think about putting Miami above Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, like Miami should beat Pitt. Vanderbilt should beat Tennessee. You know, even if Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State, you're still looking at a complete chaos scenario here. Where if Miami beats Pitt, do they get in that same, 3-team structure that they always talk about, right? And if you're in that same 3-team structure, the head-to-head over Notre Dame should get them into the playoffs. But Miami also has, losses to Louisville and SMU, which SMU is not bad. They're ranked number 21 there. But Louisville's completely unranked, and that was at home. So, so I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting to think about. If Michigan, Vanderbilt, and Miami all win, who knows what they're gonna do? That is like nightmare college football playoff committee scenario.
Yeah, but all right, there's other crazy things that could happen too. Because if you look at who teams like Oklahoma's playing LSU, I think Oklahoma's going to smoke LSU. But LSU does have talent. Iron Bowl, Alabama goes to Auburn. Is there reason to think that Alabama might lose that game?
Yes, because Kalen DeBoer might lose that game on purpose. So that way he can leave and go be the head coach at Penn State.
Oh, no. You think he's leaving for Penn State?
I don't think Kalen DeBoer to Penn State is as ridiculous as some people think it is. Me and Chris are going to do our head coaching show on Wednesday night and post it Thursday morning. And we're going to have a serious conversation about Kalen DeBoer, man. I mean, you might want to tune in for that one. There's some smoke right now.
I actually would not be surprised by that. I've never felt like Kalen DeBoer is a good cultural fit at Alabama.
He's not. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Somebody was bringing up that Miami they wouldn't be in the ACC championship game. I think it was Sam. Sorry, Sam, I lost your comment. But so we're talking about Miami beating Pitt at Pitt, and Pitt is number 22 here. So that would be the thought process of, Miami 2 losses with a win over Pitt. Would that bring them up enough to get over, say, Alabama? And if they're over Alabama right there, 9 and 10 with Notre Dame, you almost have to put them over Notre Dame, I would think. I mean, I would be irate if I was a Miami fan and they get up to 10th and they're behind Notre Dame.
Well, here's the thing about the committee too, is you have to, they've got to really have integrity to be able to say, we're not going to include Notre Dame. I mean, because think about the financial opportunity with Notre Dame in the playoffs. Think about, I think that's going to be such a conundrum and so fascinating to watch how the committee deals with that.
I'm sorry, I had to bring up Joe's comment really fast. Yeah. Feinbaum said DeBoer to Penn State is ridiculous, and now I think it will definitely happen because Feinbaum is an idiot.
Do we have the Feinbaum tracker? What happened to the Feinbaum tracker?
I need to bring it back. I have it saved somewhere. I just forget to update it, so I got to bring that back. We'll bring it back after Rivalry week. Yeah, no, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I just think right now we are heading into one of the most crazy weeks, and unfortunately for the Big 12, they really don't have a shot at getting Utah or BYU in there. It's nice that they're getting some love, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but neither BYU or Utah is playing anybody of significance to have them jump over.
They need some upsets to happen for BYU and Utah to get consideration.
Yeah.
I think
playing at Kansas, and then BYU. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there is likelihood that at least one SEC team goes down that's in the top 10. Maybe several.
Who does Oklahoma play?
LSU.
At Death Valley? No.
No, no. That one I think would be the hardest one to imagine. I think Texas
LSU,
A&M.
LSU might not even score 3 points, man.
Yeah, I don't think LSU has a shot, but I think Texas A&M would still be in the playoffs. I think they're going to go down against Texas. I think I think Ole Miss could be in trouble against Mississippi State because it's at Mississippi State. I think Alabama's in trouble potentially against Auburn.
Yeah.
Georgia's not in trouble. Georgia will be fine against Georgia Tech, but
I mean, we thought that before. Steely Matt reposted the stream there on Twitter/X. Thank you for doing that, Steely Matt. If anybody else is watching on X and you would like to repost the stream, we would greatly appreciate that. Thank you for always doing that, Steely Matt. You're the man.
sorry, I just saw this. I am being dismissive of Georgia Tech, but
I was gonna say,
I would love to be
think,
wrong.
I think Georgia Tech could upset Georgia. Now, Georgia Tech has not ended the season very well ever since the rumors about Brent Key to Penn State have happened. It's kind of been a dumpster fire there at Georgia. Not dumpster fire, but it's not been the normal season that we saw. But I mean, Brent Key, man, he's won a lot of big games at Georgia Tech. Like I need to go look at like his ranked wins or whatever, but he's beat a lot of highly ranked teams. I don't think Georgia Tech beating Georgia would be enough to knock them out of the playoffs, but Georgia would probably get pushed behind Alabama, right?
They would have to, I would think.
Because you have the head-to-head. They would both have 2 losses. And I mean, Alabama's beat them, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think the question would be then, like if Michigan upsets Ohio State.
Let's rank these in order really fast. Which wins are most likely? Miami over Pitt, Vanderbilt over Tennessee, Michigan over Ohio State, Georgia Tech over Georgia. I think the most likely one is Vanderbilt over Tennessee. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Miami over Pitt then.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the least likely one is actually Michigan over Ohio State, but that's also what scares me the most.
I think Georgia Tech over Georgia is the least likely.
Okay. So Michigan over Ohio State is the third most likely, and then Georgia Tech over Georgia is the least likely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then that's really the conversation there, is that I don't think Vanderbilt would jump Alabama.
No, they would. They certainly would not.
Yeah, Alabama beat them.
Yeah, they beat them by 16. There's no way.
Yeah. So really, your only hope here to really cause a whole bunch of chaos. I mean, Vanderbilt wins, there will be a conversation, but I don't think it'll be long. If Miami wins, that's going to blow everything up. Potentially. I mean, I don't think they're going to just move them above BYU. They'd have to do more than that. So, Bro said, this guy said Mississippi State over Ole Miss could happen, but Georgia Tech beating Georgia can't happen. Yeah, this guy is just babbling. He never said it can't happen. He dismissed it a little bit at the beginning, but I mean, dude, we're not going to come in here and just let people come at us like that. All right. So either, if you're not going to, be respectful, just get out. I mean, we don't need that kind of stuff in here. So chill.
By the way, Georgia Tech just got killed by Pitt. Like, there's a reason why there's a little skepticism right now with the Yellow Jackets.
And also, Ole Miss doesn't know what's going to happen with their head coach. So
yeah, there's a lot there's a lot of reason to think that Mississippi State might beat Mississippi.
Yeah. So chill over there. All right. And that's another conversation to have here, right? If Ole Miss loses, if Ole Miss loses, they're certainly out. But if Lane Kiffin leaves and doesn't go to the playoffs with his team, does that knock Ole Miss out?
No, you have to let what they do on the field matter. And even though we don't respect Ole Miss all that much, the committee has said they are number 7. I don't think you can knock them out. I'll put it this way, and I know Florida State got knocked out because of the whole quarterback thing. I know that a couple years ago. I think it sets a terrible precedent if a coach leaves mid-season and a team gets judged for that when what they've done, their body of work stands for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's a fair.
And also, Ole Miss is in the SEC.
Yeah, well, that too. But
it's easy to happen to the Big 12 or the ACC. Could happen to the Big Ten.
yeah,
They're not going to do that to the SEC, though.
yeah.
Ole Miss has to lose in order to get knocked out of the playoffs, and even then, I don't know if they. I mean, I think they probably would, but
yeah,
who knows? You want to look at the bracket really fast?
Let's do it.
The college football playoff bracket: Ohio State number 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Georgia 4. The matchups would include Oklahoma and Notre Dame would play to play Ohio State. Ole Miss and Alabama would play to play Indiana. Oregon and Miami would play to play Texas A&M, and Texas Tech and Tulane would play to play Georgia. We got our wish. Oregon against Miami there.
Yep. And
that
then
would be
Texas
awesome.
A&M.
But I don't think that would stick. That's the other thing we didn't talk about with it, is if Miami moves in, they're not going to win the ACC. An ACC team is going to have to come in here somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure UVA. I think I saw in someone else's bracket that UVA was where Miami is.
Yeah. So.
Which that's just wild, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, if Miami gets in, they would probably play Ole Miss. Tulane would stay at 12, and then whoever wins the ACC would be there at 11, playing in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama would be out. But if Alabama wins the SEC championship, Notre Dame is out because they don't have a conference to win. Oh shucks. I'm not going to say that about Notre Dame.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay.
But, I mean, but just to be honest, like, it would be hilarious though if conference championship, ACC, Miami winning over Pitt, Alabama winning the SEC, it all works together to knock Notre Dame out of the playoffs. That would be a crazy scenario, and the Notre Dame fans would be so mad. I mean, I'd be mad too if I was a Notre Dame fan. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It would be. Would that be the domino that needs to happen for Notre Dame to join a conference?
No, I don't think one thing. I think scheduling is probably would be the thing that makes it happen more than anything. But I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. I just want to go back. So Phenomenal Brew, who's, giving us a hard time about Mississippi State, said we haven't watched Mississippi State. They're friggin' terrible. I just want to say I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying Ole Miss isn't good. Like, Ole Miss, I mean, they beat Kentucky by a touchdown. They beat Arkansas by 6. They beat Washington State by 3. Washington State, who just got beat by North Texas. Like, they beat Florida by 10. Like, they're not good.
We've seen stranger things happen in the Egg Bowl. Like, the Egg Bowl really is one of those rivalry games where just insane, crazy stuff can happen.
Right. Yeah. Throw out the record books too with rivalry week, right? Like, nobody thought Michigan was beating Ohio State last year.
Yeah. Michigan was freaking terrible last year.
Yeah. So I think my point, it's less about Mississippi State being good and more like, I don't see, like, the reason why Ole Miss is ranked as highly as they are is because they've had a soft schedule and they got lucky with a number of breaks, one being Mateer not being 100% for Oklahoma. And also Kiffin's distracted. Like, that's not conjecture. I mean, there are reports out there saying he's about to get offered like a $95 million deal to go to LSU.
And what we know about Lane Kiffin, what Brian's saying here could be completely true. If Lane Kiffin's leaving, he could just mail it in. I mean, if we're being honest, like, I mean, I'm talking here about DeBoer might throw the Auburn game so that way he leaves Alabama and doesn't make the playoffs. I don't think that will happen, but it'd be kind of crazy if it did.
It would.
Yeah. Any other matchup scenarios here we need to talk about? I mean, the ACC thing really is crazy. I don't think Miami would be above Alabama if they beat Pitt, but
No,
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
you just can't discount it with the Miami win over Notre Dame and what could possibly happen there.
Well, I think that is. It's funny. Miami could be the team that knocks out both Notre Dame and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Although Alabama might knock itself out if they lose to Auburn.
Yep, that's true. But yeah, if they lose to Auburn, they're not in the SEC championship. So,
All right, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
This is just going to seeding. If you're Ohio State or Indiana, do you prefer the 1 seed or the 2 seed?
If I'm Ohio State, do I prefer the 1 seed or the 2 seed? The 1 seed, because I don't have Oregon on my side of the bracket.
But your first round would be a pretty nasty defense in Oklahoma and maybe one of the hotter teams in the tournament in Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with that. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer like the 4 seed, Texas Tech or Tulane,
which is hilarious.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, Texas Tech. I was sticking up for them a little bit earlier. I don't think they're awful. But then the 2 is Alabama and Ole Miss. I mean, I think when Alabama puts it all together, they are a really good football team. I just don't think they can consistently put it all together for the entire bracket.
No,
like that's my biggest thing with it. If Alabama played at their ceiling or near their ceiling the entire bracket, I think they could win the national championship.
Agreed.
But I don't think they're consistent enough to do that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably go with 2 seed. I would rather have, but I'm not mad about the 1 seed either. Like, I don't think Oklahoma has an offense at all, and I think Notre Dame, I don't think they're completely proven right now. I've not seen them play enough really good teams. I mean, I know they beat USC. That was also at home. USC is not very good on the road. What would you choose?
I think as it stands right now, I'd probably prefer the 2 seed.
Yeah.
But I don't think Georgia's going to stay at the 4. And I think that would change my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Last thing we probably need to talk about, it's not Big Ten centric, but they all are talking about it in the chat. The G5, Tulane in there.
Mm-hmm.
Are you of the opinion that the G5 should not have a spot?
No, I absolutely think they should have a spot. The whole point of the playoff was to create parity and access. We cannot, I fundamentally cannot pull a spot because we don't like the matchup one year. Like that completely kills the point of why we did this in the first place. So no, I feel free to push back on me, but I don't love the idea. Like everybody's saying, well, the ACC shouldn't get an automatic bid. Listen, I get that we don't like that Virginia might take up a spot, but you know what? We said at the beginning of the year, you get a spot if you win your conference. I think the same is true like group of 6. Like give them access.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some stinker years like Tulane. I don't love that they're in the playoffs. I would prefer like a James Madison or something like that where we haven't seen them get blown out by an Ole Miss or something in there. But at the same time, I do think you need to have the G5 spot in there because it does create more parity. And this is the same guy who just made a video on the 2014 playoff and how automatic bids would actually create more parity in all of college football because you give teams access to the playoffs and you are going to get more talent there because players will think, oh, this is a team that could actually make the playoffs. Right now, the Big 12 doesn't get a whole lot of talent in there, and the ACC doesn't get as much talent in there because they don't have the favorable, thought process about them. to be able to get into the playoffs as easily as a team from, well, the SEC and, in certain cases, the Big Ten as well, right? So that's why it was so big for Kirk Cinetti to make the playoffs his very first season and to make it this season as well. Not just make it, but get a bye most likely, because now players are going to look at Indiana and say, yep, that's a team that can make the playoffs. Cignetti has them rolling. They can beat the big teams. They can beat Oregon on the road and sign up for their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
well, and to that point, and people are saying, yeah, we should give it to another power conference and they're just here to lose by 40. Listen, go back to March Madness. The first, 40 years or 30 years of the 1 versus 16 seed, there was never a 16 seed that won. And then it did. And it was one of the greatest things. I still remember when UMBC beat UVA, a 16 beat a 1 for the first time. It was the year I picked UVA to win the national championship, and my bracket was busted. And it was amazing. It was amazing for those kids. And that's maybe my biggest point. As fans, sometimes we just need to shut up and watch what's on TV and watch the playoff, because it's not just about the fans. It's actually about the players. So I know Boise got blown out last year by Penn State, but how awesome was it for those Boise players to be in the playoff and to compete? And it was relatively competitive up until the end of the third quarter.
It was a competitive game. Yeah. Boise State was in it. I don't think I ever thought they were going to win the game, but they were in the game. Yeah. I just take the standpoint of, I think you have to allow the access to it. And I don't think, to me, I don't think you're taking a spot from a team that's going to win the national championship or anything like that. There's they're talking in there about do you really think Tulane should get in over Miami? I don't think that Tulane's a better team than Miami, but if we're being honest, do I think Miami's going to go win the national championship? No. So, it stinks for Miami, but also Miami don't have Carson Beck throw 4 interceptions against Louisville at home.
Right.
Yeah. And I know it's easier said than done, but and Miami could still get in. They could still get in. They beat Pitt and get some chaos to happen. They could still get in.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You need to earn, again, Mr. Bucknuts, I appreciate what you're saying. Is they should actually earn it, not an auto bid. But here's the thing. What makes these other teams make you think that they've earned it? Miami hasn't earned anything. They can't even win a terrible conference. That's on them. If Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff at 10-2, I think they're a great team, but they lost 2 of the 3 most important games on their schedule. Mm-hmm. That's on them. Well, it's kind of on the refs, but my point is this. You know what you have to do to get into this thing at the beginning of the season. It is not Tulane's fault that they have done everything that's been asked of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you and I are kind of arguing different things, but for the same thing a little bit. You are arguing a little bit more for Tulane, and I'm just kind of saying, I think the spot should be there. I think the auto should be there.
I think so too.
All right. Well, as we said earlier, if you want to come in here and disrespect us, you can be gone. All right. Let's move on. Hey, do like and subscribe. We appreciate it if you choose to do that. Help us out here at the Big Ten Huddle. We are continuing to try and move on up the subscriber base and everything else. And for every like on the videos, that helps us out. And if you subscribe, that helps us out as well. Trying to get to 5,000 before the end of the year. And if we do that, I don't know, we'll throw a party or something. I don't have a whole plan for it. It'd just be cool if it happens. So help us out to make that happen. All right, we are going to get into our week 14 rivalry game preview now. And so if you're listening on podcasts, we appreciate you being here. You can check out the preview tomorrow. And then if you're here on YouTube with us, stick with us. We're going to get to the preview here in just a moment. So appreciate you being here. We'll be right back. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We appreciate you being here as we're presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We have rivalry week to get to here. A lot of rivalries here in the Big Ten. A lot of fun stuff to get to. We have Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin. All these great rivalry games to get to. And then, of course, there's a couple Big Ten games in there that are not rivalry games, but we'll talk about them as well because we are the Big Ten Huddle where we talk every single Big Ten team. Zach, are you ready to have a rivalry week discussion?
I am ready. I'm terrified, but we'll do it.
Let's make it happen. Zach, if you had to, I had a question for you, but I forgot it off the top of my head. If you had to sit at a Thanksgiving table with 3 coaches in the Big Ten, who would those 3 coaches be?
Oh gosh. Brett Bielema, clearly.
You'd be entertaining to be near. I agree.
Yeah. I think Ryan Day.
You think Brett and Ryan would be good together, or you just want to sit next to those two guys?
I just want to sit next to them and see what would happen. And then Kurt Signetti.
I think Kurt would be really funny hearing him talk about the turkey and the mashed potatoes and everything else.
Yeah.
He'd have something to say, or he would have nothing to say, and he'd just, eat his food and leave, because that seems like the kind of no-nonsense kind of guy he is. Eat the food, leave, go back to practice.
Yeah, and then tell everybody to Google him.
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, how was your weekend? Google me. Okay.
Lanning's a good pick. Sam the Man.
Yeah. Bert, Lanning, and Sig.
Yeah, that's a good trio.
Philip says you want whoops.
Oh no.
Clicking it there. Ferentz, Harbaugh, and Loxley. Well, if Harbaugh's out, can't have Harbaugh.
He's been show caused from the Thanksgiving table.
Thanksgiving show cause. Would you select a sub in for Sharon Moore with that table? Ferentz, Sharon Moore, and Loxley.
Listen, I'm not going to that Thanksgiving if that's my trio. Not with the way they've been playing.
I'd like to talk to Ferentz. I'd sit next to Ferentz. I'd like to talk to him about his Thanksgiving and everything else.
Yeah, okay. I'd be okay with that.
Well, if you're listening to this on podcast, happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate you being here. We are going to get into being thankful for all these Big Ten rivalries, and we're just going to start it off with one of the biggest, and that is Wisconsin at Minnesota. Oh boy, this is a huge game for both these teams. Obviously, Minnesota needs, I shouldn't say need, they obviously really want to get the axe there. And anybody that loses to Wisconsin, just has this like dark cloud over them for a long time. So you don't want that to happen. And then Wisconsin, they've won 2 of their last 3 games. They're not going to go to a bowl game, but it would be some really good momentum going into the off season, and you would be able to work into the portal and stuff like that. They say they're going to get some more funding. This is a game that has the series tied at 63-63. The border battle, playing for the Paul Bunyan Axe. Minnesota did win the last meeting. I believe that was 24-7 over Wisconsin. Zach, what are your thoughts on this game?
This is a hard. It's funny, actually. A lot of these games I really wrestled with, because I think different teams are peaking at the right time, whereas I think other teams, they have been either stagnant or they felt like they've been fading. And I feel like that is part of the storyline of this game, is that Minnesota is the favorite. They're the home team. And yet, to me, they do not look like they have advanced and gotten better over the season, whereas Wisconsin has looked much better as of late. Their defense is playing really well. I mean, they've allowed 10 points to each Washington and Illinois, and those are 2 very good offenses. And Carter Smith, we've talked about it. He's not been great, right? Like, I think he's averaging like 90 yards passing a game, but he is confident. And I think that really matters. Now, the big question, I think, for Wisconsin is, can they bring this act on the road? Because they are going to Minnesota. Minnesota is defending the axe. And Minnesota, while they're bowl eligible, they do want to build momentum, I think, into bowl season. So I think that to the two questions I have is that does momentum continue to carry for Wisconsin? And can Minnesota defend home turf?
Yes, I think that vibes are pretty low on Minnesota right now because of what happened against Northwestern. Um, but as we pointed out in the in the recap, that Minnesota did have opportunities to win that game. Their kicking just didn't put them in the best place possible there. Their special teams showed up in that one. Coy Parrish had a what was it, like a 93-yard kick return touchdown in that one. So like they're going to be able to get some production from other places outside of the offense. If Wisconsin allows them to do that. Coy Parrish is a playmaker for them and everything else. So if Wisconsin's not on their T's and Q's for the entire game, Minnesota's going to find a way. But I just don't think Wisconsin plays the brand of football that we talked about needs to happen to beat Minnesota, right? If you want to beat Minnesota, you have to get on them early. Yes, they have the pass rush to be able to beat Minnesota, but it's on the road for Wisconsin. Like, I think this Wisconsin team's a really good story, and I think what we've seen from them against Illinois and Washington has been really good, but it's just tough to continue to predict that's going to happen when that hasn't been the case all season long. Maybe they have figured it out with Carter Smith. Maybe Darian Dupree is that running back they need to get out there and make things happen running the ball. But I still think this Minnesota defense has some strength on their defense. I still think they have some playmakers. I still think Kerry Brown and Coy Parrish are a good safety duo. Is it elite? No. Is it as good as we thought in the preseason? No, but I still think they got some talent there, and I think I'm going to pick Minnesota to win this game, but I'll be honest, I don't feel super confident in it.
I don't think anybody should feel confident about any pick in this game because I think there are a lot of variables. Here's maybe my biggest question is, are Minnesota's running backs reliable, and can they be themselves in this game? Darius Taylor has not looked like himself at all. I didn't think he looked great against Northwestern.
But do they
And
need to be? That's the other question, right?
well, but and this is where I start to wonder: is this Wisconsin's game to lose? Is if Minnesota can't run the ball, you have a Wisconsin pass rush that's gotten better and better that can pin their ears back and go after a freshman quarterback. That just feels like a rough thing. And here's the other thing. Minnesota's home. That should be good. But is there a world where Minnesota is struggling and unable to string drives together and they're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out to the point where the crowd starts to turn on them? And you just kind of feel the sense of dread, like, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. And then for Wisconsin, the dam breaks and they get a turnover. It's very similar to how they beat Washington, right? Like they didn't have a lot of offense in that game. Even against Illinois, they didn't have a lot of offense in that game, but they wore down two honestly much better quarterbacks in this stage of their careers, in Damon Williams and Luke Altmaier. I think Drake Lindsey is going to be a stud. I think he's on his way there. But both Washington and Illinois have better skill positions. Both Washington and Illinois, I think, have better quarterbacks. And now we're saying that we think that Minnesota has better personnel to handle Wisconsin's pass rush. You might be right. I think that's where I am hesitant to say that Minnesota has the edge in this game.
I do think home field for Minnesota matters. I do think that Drake Lindsey, the way he's played when they don't have a running game, matters. I said it, like you are. It is not sustainable to not have a running game for Minnesota, but you can still win a few games here and there. And if they're going to be able to win a game, I do think this is the game where they could possibly win to make that happen. Now, the X factor for me is this Wisconsin offense because I don't think Minnesota scores more than 20 points in this game at most.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's their at most. But if Wisconsin can come out and do well against this Minnesota defense, hold Anthony Smith to not hold him, but you know what I mean, like not let him go crazy getting sacks, Wisconsin has a good chance to win this game. And Wisconsin, the past 4 weeks, you know, they've done against the spread the past 4 weeks.
Well, I mean, they've beaten the team, so it doesn't matter. I mean, they covered the spread.
They've covered the spread the last 4 weeks. They covered the spread against Illinois and Washington. They covered the spread against Oregon at Oregon, and they covered the spread against Indiana at Indiana.
Yeah.
So, and this spread is only 1.5 in favor of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, my gut tells me Minnesota, so I'm going to pick Minnesota to win this game 20-17. I don't feel great about it. I'm probably wrong. Because I think I even have some Minnesota fans that would tell me I'm wrong. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't win the X. But I think Minnesota has shown more throughout the season. Wisconsin has shown more lately.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go with Minnesota. Are you going with Wisconsin?
Guess what my score is?
20-17.
20-17 was Wisconsin over Minnesota.
Wisconsin. I was wondering when you were nodding your head to the 20. I was like, you might have.
We did it again. We did it again.
Philip says Wisconsin's defense held Indiana down for a half and limited Oregon to 21, both on the road, both much better than Minnesota. I think Wisconsin could win comfortably. I do think the Oregon thing, you do have to take into account the rain and the weather and stuff like that for that one. And then Indiana did eventually, you know, open it up and get the win there. But, get the win. They were winning at halftime. But I also think that Wisconsin's bad field goal kicking could come back to bite them in this one. Like, that's one of the reasons why I did not pick Wisconsin to get 20 points was because I don't know if their field goal kicker can hit 2 field goals in one game.
Did it against Illinois.
He's not done it any other time this season.
I know.
So,
just momentum, positive momentum.
We'll see. So
I think the other thing, Fickle kind of almost is coaching like he's got nothing to lose because he does it. Like he's got the vote of confidence, and now all of a sudden he looks so much more relaxed, and I feel like he makes decisions in a much like different way. I don't know. You can just tell when a coach is coaching more freely, and that's the sense I've gotten the past couple of weeks with Wisconsin.
Yeah, I agree. All right, ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, we got UCLA heading to USC. USC favored in this one by 21.5 on FanDuel. The over-under set at 59.5. The crosstown rivalry game here, the Battle of LA, the crosstown showdown, whatever you want to call it. There are tons of different names in this one. Playing for the victory bell. The series is led by USC 51-34. There are 7 ties in there as well. And USC did win the last meeting there. UCLA won it before that, but USC on a 1-game win streak in this series right now. Zach, USC should win this one. If they don't, we're having serious questions about Lincoln Riley after feeling really good about Lincoln Riley here to end the season, even with the loss to Oregon.
Yeah, they're not going to lose to UCLA.
I don't think so. They should not.
Yeah. Also, I would say hammer the over. Not that I'm a betting guy, but I think USC is going to score a lot of points. And I think USC's defense isn't so great that UCLA might score some points.
Well, and does UCLA have Nico too?
That is, let me see if I can find that real quick.
Because he was out for the Ohio State game. He went out in the last game that they played, against Washington. So, what's going to happen there? If UCLA doesn't have Nico, I don't think they have a chance in this game against USC. I already don't think they really have a chance. I think USC wins this one pretty easily. I'm going to take them to cover in this, but I'm not trying to disrespect UCLA here or anything like that. They had a nice little run there in the middle part of the season, but I think they kind of came down to earth, and I think USC, I think King Miller could run all over this team. I think he could come away with 150-plus rushing yards in this one.
Yeah. Nico is day-to-day.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Just to give people an understanding, the matchup predictor has USC as a 95% favorite. It's interesting. This line opened at 62.5 and it's down to 59.5. So I don't know if that's because of concerns with Nico. Also, the spread has gone up since open from 20.5 to 21.5. I've got a lot of points in this game. I've got 56-27. I think USC scores a lot. And I think UCLA might get some points in junk time.
The new Heisel effect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Nico's not going to play in this game. I think UCLA's offense is going to be a little limited. I think they might score a little bit, but I don't have them scoring any more than 20 points in this one. And so I'm going to be conservative with my pick and take I'm still going to take the over and the over-under, but I'm going to have USC just barely covering, but I think they could cover by a lot more. I have USC winning this one 42-20 over UCLA.
Yeah.
So
safer
I don't
pick.
think Nico's going to play.
Pick.
Yeah. I could see UCLA only putting up like 10 with no Nico.
I think that is on the table. I don't think USC's defense is like, I think you could see USC's defense be a little leaky.
Mm-hmm. Bobby Mack's got the shootout. Thinking 52 USC, UCLA 42. I would love that. That'd be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
All that scoring and everything. But even with Nico, I'm not sure how UCLA scores. I mean, if Nico just goes nuclear running the ball around out there, and USC's linebackers did look a little lost at times against Oregon, but that's also Oregon, right? I mean, that's Will Stein.
Yep.
Jerry Neuheisel, good offensive coordinator. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's not Will Stein. Breaking news here. He's not Will Stein.
Nope.
So.
That is a fact. Not Will Stein.
That is indeed a fact. Fight on Natties is here. What's good, J.R. Zach? What's good, Fight on Natties? Appreciate you being here. Mm-hmm. We were just talking your team, and we had a lot of good things to say about it. So if you want to rewind for 5 minutes, you'll hear us praising USC quite a bit. I also think that you could see a lot of points in this one because I do think that for Lincoln Riley, these awards matter, and Mekhi Lemon is a finalist for the Blitnikoff right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could see Lincoln Riley try to run up Mekhi Lemon's stats a little bit to try and get him the Blitnikoff. And I wouldn't blame him to do so, man. I wouldn't blame him at all.
250 yards and 6 touchdowns from Mekhi Lemon.
Dude, I'm not taking it off the table. I mean, I do not think UCLA has bad corners. I actually think their corners have been one of the better parts of their team this season. When we did our transfer portal team, players who could lose, I took Roderick Pleasant and Andre Jordan Jr., but still, I think Mekhi Lemon could have a really big game in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So
agreed.
All right. Anything else on this one before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Another one that could just be a complete blowout. It's, by the way, holy cow. Take Indiana to cover. Holy cow. What in the world are we doing here? Indiana's favored in this one by 28.5 on FanDuel. FanDuel, what are you doing? Over under set at 54.5. Look, Purdue, I am not trying to be disrespectful to you, but you are not getting close to 30 points in this game. Indiana's going to go in here. Indiana's going to win this game, 42-3, 42-10 at the very, lowest or anything like that. Indiana's going to come in and completely crush Purdue. Sorry, Purdue fans. I'm not trying to discredit your team here, but I am just totally discrediting your team. Indiana won 66-0 last year. I know Purdue leads the series and all that stuff. I could look up all the stuff here and say Old Oaken Bucket. Purdue leads the series 77-43-6. Well, guess what? In that series, Kirk Cinetti wasn't there, but Kirk Cinetti's here now, and he's gonna decapitate Purdue right there on the field. Sorry, Purdue.
Decapitation. Wow.
Yeah, you better watch out. Boiler Pete, whatever his name is, that mascot. Watch out.
There is only one team that has covered against Ohio State, and that's Purdue. They're not going to cover this. They're not going to cover
Max
against
says he
Indiana.
talked to DK, and he has Purdue upsetting IU.
Is the upset that Boiler Pete defeats the mascot for Indiana?
Maybe.
Is that the upset?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, we need to have DK on for his bold prediction show.
No,
Again in the
no, no.
offseason.
We love you, DK. We love you, DK. But no, not now. Not
Hey,
now.
he was the most fun bold predictions I had. He picked
But
Purdue to go to a bowl game.
and look where we are.
2-9 Purdue.
We love you, DK. We miss
Yeah,
you.
listen. I am not somebody that gives out betting advice or anything like that. But boy, if I was going to go to my grave giving out betting advice, my betting advice would take Indiana to cover in this one. Holy cow, that is way too low of a line. 28.5.
Purdue's upsetting Indiana. You heard it here first.
Okay. Yeah. If that happens, I'll wear a hot dog suit on this show.
Oh, Philip, he said it. He's gonna wear a hot dog suit.
Yeah. The only thing is Purdue's not upsetting Indiana.
Indiana's gonna roll. I've got Indiana 59, Purdue 17.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Purdue has anything that is going to stop Indiana. I mean, they have some, they have some nice linebackers. They have a couple safeties that can kind of stop the run a little bit. But listen, Kirk Cinetti wants Fernando Mendoza to win the Heisman. I have no doubts about that. I'm not saying they're going to run up the score or anything like that. All that stuff that people want to say about Indiana.
They're running it up. They are absolutely running it up.
Well, but what I'm saying is with Fernando Mendoza, like I could see him still running it up a little bit with like Alberto Mendoza or something like that. But also running it up for them is just they continue to run the ball on you in the fourth quarter, and you can't stop it because that's just who Indiana is. But I could see them really going to Fernando Mendoza a lot to try and get him as many touchdown passes as possible. Like I could see him coming out of this game 225 for 5 touchdown passes and 0 picks.
Yeah.
Another 90% completion percentage game.
Yeah. This is a good point that Sam the Man brings up too. Like when Purdue lost Maccabee, and I forget how long Maccabee's been out, but he's a key piece of that team. And it's, you can't, it stinks for Purdue because I think they're a much better team than they were a year ago, despite the record. But Maccabee was a big part of that. And
Antonio Harris has not been bad. He's just not the leader that Maccabee is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Philip says if Purdue covers, JR wears a hot dog suit. Not if they cover. Not as confident in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I am confident, but not confident enough to bet the hot dog suit. So.
Yeah, no.
All right. We do want to remind you Friday night. All right. I will be here Friday night for the game recaps of Iowa at Nebraska, Indiana at Purdue. I was sick last time we had a Friday night one with Oregon, Minnesota. I do not anticipate being sick. My son did have a little bit of a fever this morning, but he took a nap and he was fine after that. So I should be fine. And if I am fine, I'll come in after the Indiana-Purdue game. I believe that kicks at 7:30 Eastern time. And after that one, we'll come on and we'll recap Iowa at Nebraska and Indiana at Purdue. And if Purdue wins, I will declare that I'm wearing a hot dog suit coming soon near you. But spoiler, Purdue's not going to win. Okay. Oregon at Washington. Oregon only 6.5-point favorite. Oregon was a 6.5-point favorite at home against USC. They were a 6.5-point favorite at home against Indiana. They're only a 6.5-point favorite here at Washington. I mean, listen, Zach, the power rankings. We're talking about tend to agree with what we're talking about here with this Washington team. They lost to Wisconsin, and yes, that sucks. But you go in to play Washington at home. It's not an easy trip. Now, Oregon, they took care of Washington pretty easily last year, had all the sacks and everything else. And Damon Williams, he got his start, but did he get a start in that one? No, he had a start in the bowl game. He came in relief in that game, I think, for Will Rogers. But this one, Washington has dominated the rivalry, the Cascade Clash or the Fight for the Forest. I like the Fight for the Forest name there. Washington leads at 63-49. But Oregon did win the last meeting. Oregon should win this one, barring some kind of weird thing happening. Oregon should win this one, but you really can never discount Washington at home and everything they have, to weapons wise to be able to go up against Oregon in this one. What are your thoughts on this game?
I wonder if the attrition that Oregon has experienced will play a factor, and the wear and tear. I mean, their last few games, Oregon has played at Iowa, Minnesota, but then USC. And now they have to go to Washington. Whereas Washington, they played at Wisconsin, which obviously they lost, but then they got Purdue and at UCLA. So they haven't had to travel much since week 11. And they get to play at home. And if you look at the injury reports, I mean, Oregon's down what? Their top 3 receivers? They're down offensive linemen.
Yeah, if you count Evan Stewart. Yeah.
And I think if Washington is as good as we say they are, and Washington is at home, and Oregon is a little undermanned, I just look at all that. I'm like, I agree with you. I think Oregon should win. But this is not, again, it's a rivalry game. You have a lot of guys banged up for Oregon. Washington's had a couple weeks to kind of catch their breath since their loss. And I just wonder how ready Oregon's going to be for this after having to play USC last week.
USC and Iowa too. They had to go on the road to Iowa in that game, and that was definitely a big game as well. I hear you, and I do think that some of the injury concerns. I don't think we have anything definite on Poncho or Isaiah World. I mean, Isaiah World did play in that last game. He just didn't start, so I tend to think that he's going to be fine. But I just look at the injuries that Oregon has, and I don't know if Washington has the players to really take down those injuries, right? Like, I think USC has a better defensive line than Washington does. That's not crazy to say, right?
No, I think I wouldn't say it's that much better, but yes, I would agree that USC is a little bit better.
And I don't think Washington has, even if they're better, I don't think they have all that better of linebackers than USC has, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think Dante Moore is a top 5, top 3 quarterback, at least the way he's playing right now, in all of college football right now.
Yep. I don't disagree with any of your points. Do you think Damon Williams has like a Heisman performance type game in him, though?
I mean, yeah, he's at home, right? Like he's always got it in him at home. It's been on the road where he hasn't really had it in him. You know, take away UCLA, he had a really good game in that one, but I don't know if Damon Williams going off is enough to beat Oregon. You know, like Washington has some of their own injury issues. You know, Jonah Coleman, he's been limited. You know, he day to day stuff like that. I mean, it's not like they're like totally beat up. Oregon's more beat up than they are, but I still think this Oregon team has too much firepower, has too many good players in the areas that, I mean, maybe Damon Williams just completely out athletes Bryce Betcher and the linebackers and stuff like that for Oregon. Maybe, but I still think the Oregon defensive line is going to get after Damon Williams like crazy. I mean, Washington has not been good when they faced a really good defensive line. Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good defensive line.
And Oregon's got just as good of a defensive line as those ones. I mean, if not the best in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Washington's going to be able to run the ball very well. I think it's all going to be on Damon Williams' shoulders. Damon Williams, of course, you know, he's good enough. He could win the game for him. But I don't think Dan Lanning is going to let that happen. I think he's going to be too locked in and too ready. And he's experienced what it's like losing to Washington. I don't think he wants to experience what it's like to lose Washington again.
Yeah. Would you say that the pathway for Oregon to win is really, in a sense, ball control and to play action? And like just let your running backs run and then let Dante Moore create off of that? Or would you say it's more they want to get up early and kind of force Washington to have to score on? Like, what would you say their pathway to victory?
What is
Like, what?
Washington's pathway to victory?
No, like, what do you think? How do you think Oregon is going to want to attack this? Because I think Oregon has many pathways to victory. I'm not saying that they're limited. Washington's limited, but like, where do you think Dan Lanning's would go? Like, how do you think he's gonna
I think
game
it
plan
looks a
this?
lot like the USC game. I think that it's just methodical, move the ball down the field. You don't really need the explosive stuff. If you get the explosive stuff, it's fine, but you just go in there, impose your will, run the ball, get yourself set up for good third down situations, and let Dante Moore take care of it, be accurate, hit his guys in stride. And I mean, to me, it really says something that Dante Moore has really just been able to do this without his top three wide receivers,
Mhm.
without Evan Stewart all season long, without DeCorian Moore, without Gary Bryant Jr. these past few weeks. I mean, those guys might be back. We'll see. We don't know. But overall, like, I just think Dante Moore is too good. This running game, Noah Whittington, Jordan Davison, uh, Hill. I just think they got too many fresh legs, and they're just going to be able to go after him again and again and again, and it's going to wear
Yeah,
Washington down.
yeah.
So I don't think they have to do anything special. I think they just have to go out there and play their game.
Even at home, or even on the road, where they
Yes.
they did struggle. They struggled at Iowa.
Yes. I mean, listen, I think Ohio State's the number one team in the country, but how much different is Oregon from Ohio State?
I mean, I think they're a little different.
Ohio State's better, I think,
Yeah.
but it's not like a huge, massive. It's not like if Ohio State and Oregon were on a neutral field, Ohio State would be favored by 10.5.
Well, no.
Yeah. So, have we checked the weather for this one?
No.
Because that could impact things as well.
Yeah.
Let me check that really fast. Because if it's bad weather, it's even more for Oregon.
Right. It looks fine. It looks like 48, high of 48, cloudy but no rain.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think ideally Oregon should be fine. I think Washington will give them a good game because it's at home. Washington plays well at home, obviously, but I think Oregon covers in this one. I got Oregon winning 31-21 over Washington.
This is one of those. I just think that rivalry week gets weird, and I think this is going to be one of those games where rivalry week goes weird. I think you're right. I think if this were a normal game, I would pick Oregon at least by 7, if not by 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something, and this is a feel thing. I felt this like with USC Illinois, where I'm like, I think USC is the better team, but I think Illinois is going to win. Oregon's in a higher tier than USC is, and Washington, absolutely,
For sure.
Like, I don't think this is as I'm thinking about this, I'm not necessarily thinking that Oregon is
No, but I think
in a
you
lower
make a good
tier.
I think you make a good point though on Iowa and USC recently. How banged up are they? Two tough
Yeah.
games. They're going on to another tough game here against Washington.
Yeah.
If
And
Oregon does end up losing this game, I think that'll play a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think they have enough gritty players. Like we talked about Alex McLaughlin on defense. Decker DeGraff at tight end. They've got defensive ends that I think are good. I'm gonna pull the trigger on Washington. I actually was going back and forth even as we were talking about it, because I think the points you're making are really good, and I think I'm gonna kick myself for this pick, but I am gonna go Washington 27, Oregon 24.
Okay, all right. We'll see if it happens. I think if Washington wins, they probably score more than that. I think you see him explode a little bit more with Damon Williams having a little bit bigger of a game, but I'm not going to deny that, it could happen, obviously. Yeah. We'll see. So, all right. Sam did say Oregon's D is nowhere closest to Ohio State's D. I wouldn't say nowhere close. I would say Ohio State's D is definitely better. But that's like splitting hairs at that point there. If you look at it, Oregon and Ohio State defensive line pretty similar, but I would give the edge to Ohio State, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially in the interior.
Yes. But I mean, Oregon's got dudes in the interior too. Barry Alexander's been good this season. Amari Washington, he's a freak.
Yeah, Cade McDonald though has been.
Yeah, he's the best player on that defensive line for Ohio State. Um, Linebackers, I think you have to go Ohio State with the athleticism, Arvell Reese, his versatility, everything else. I mean, no disrespect to Oregon and their linebackers; they have good linebackers too. But I just think the star power and the athleticism of Ohio State takes that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And
Um,
then I think the secondary, like Dylan Thienemann's
Oregon
really.
has. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'd say Dylan Thienemann's really good at safety, but I think Ohio State has better safeties. I think the cornerbacks that might be where Oregon might have a slight edge, possibly.
Maybe. I think that Oregon has nearly as much talent as Ohio State in the secondary, but I think Ohio State's just that much more experienced. Davis
Yeah.
Sigmanosin, Jermaine Matthews, Caleb Downs. I mean, Jalen McClain is back there. He's played well this season.
Mm-hmm.
But Oregon has some young guys too.
Yeah. I think the secondaries are the most comparable.
Yeah. Bobby Mack says Oregon's defense is a BMV, Ohio State's is a Bentley. Well, that's a great way to end it there. Appreciate that, Bobby Mack. Let's get to the next one, which is Ohio State at Michigan. Zach, let's try not to talk for 40 minutes on this one, because we could definitely do that, probably longer if we really wanted to. Ohio State's favored in this one by 10.5 on the road at Michigan. Over under set at 44.5 on FanDuel. Of course, this is called The Game. It's college football's fiercest rivalry. In my opinion, it's the best rivalry in all of sports. It's the fiercest rivalry in all of sports. Currently, Michigan leads this series 61-49 with 6 ties, and Michigan has won the last 4 in this rivalry, including last year when Ohio State was favored by over 20 points in this game. Sorry, Ohio State fans, I don't mean to I don't mean to keep doing that to you by talking about it, but it does need to be referenced, because even though this is a game where everybody's going to say Ohio State should win, Ohio State's going to win, there is a factor here with this game. And I think that Ryan Day has something to prove in this one. He won the national championship. That's great. But can he get the Michigan monkey off his back? He's got one win over Michigan, 2019, but he's not had one since. And this is the game where Ryan Day has to prove he can get this win here. Zach, what's your thoughts on this game?
Talk is cheap. Like Ryan Day talked about how fun is kicking butt. Didn't use the word butt.
As I say, he didn't use the word butt.
Yeah. And he, everybody's psychoanalyzing Ryan Day because that's been the conversation for 4 years. It's like, oh, does he take the game seriously enough? Does he take it too seriously? Does he understand the importance? Does he realize he needs to relax? Here's the thing.
Every year, though, right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What's going to matter is, can Ryan Day actually prove that he can win this game?
Mm-hmm.
And I think unlike last year, where I didn't think there was a pathway for Michigan to win, there are several pathways for Michigan to win this game. I think the way that Ohio State wins this game, if I'm being, this is what I've thought since the summer. If Ohio State goes touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, 3 and out, and field goal or touchdown, like if they do what they did against Tennessee and Oregon in the college football playoff, if they get up 2 or 3 scores, it's over. Because Michigan does not have the ability to come back from a large deficit. That's not their game. That's not how they want to play. And they know that. They want to get it to the fourth quarter. But I think if it's a 3-point game at half, if it's like the Penn State game, I don't care how loose Ryan Day looks now. It's going to feel tight. And you're in Ann Arbor, and you're going to feel the pressure. And you're going to wonder, people are going to wonder, how healthy are Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? I think both are going to play. Jeremiah Smith basically.
Yeah. He said he was going to play.
He said he was going to play. I think Carnell Tate's going to play. But they've had great receivers every year since 2021, right? Like they had Olave, they had Wilson, they had JSN, they had Marv, they had Emeka. Like, I don't care how good your receivers are. Can Ohio State actually, if they get down or if it's close, can they have the mental fortitude to just do what they did like against Penn State? And I'm not sure they can.
In that Penn State game, they were dominating though. Penn State got the fumble. I mean, they went down the field. That was really their only drive when they went down the field and were able to score. They got the fumble. They were able to score after that, after a long drive against the Ohio State defense, where they had to go in one play after that. If it's that kind of scenario, I'm still taking Ohio State because Ohio State has been
Sure
dominating that game like they were for most of that game against Penn State. It was just those past two drives that did not obviously work out for them. If it's like Michigan's beating Ohio State up, everything looks really hard for them, then yeah, I'm with you. But even if things look really hard for them, I still think that Ohio State has more talent. I still think Ohio State has more of everything you need to win this game. Look, Michigan doesn't have first round picks in the interior of their defensive line anymore. I'm not trying to go against Michigan's defensive line because they have been good this season. Okay? They're not what they have been the past few seasons because they don't have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant there in the middle. I don't think that Ohio State should run up the middle 70% of the time against them or anything. But I don't think that this defensive line is as terrifying in running the ball against them as they have been. Cole Sullivan, and Jimmy Rolder are good linebackers, but they're not who Michigan has had here recently, right? To me, the biggest concern is Michigan getting pressure on Julian Sayin with Derek Moore, TJ Guy, Jayshon Barham being able to get into the backfield and really pressure him and put him in bad situations. It happened early on in the season. It hasn't really happened since, but Julian Sayin did throw some picks early on. And if Julian Sayin gets a little loose with the ball, that's probably Michigan's best avenue to win. Because I don't think Michigan's going to score more than 13 points in this game driving down the field. Like, they're going to need some help with some turnovers in order to score more than probably 13 points.
Well, and I think that's part of the intrigue of this game is you have two fascinating freshman quarterbacks with two very skilled defensive coordinators. You have Matt Patricia engineering a defense against true freshman Bryce Underwood, who I think Bryce Underwood, you made this point last week. He's been getting better every week. And then you have Wink Martindale trying to confuse Julian Sayin, who really hasn't, like, he had a couple of picks against Ohio, but outside of that, he's never really looked out of control. But I don't think he's faced an assignment quite like this. And I think that's another question is I think everybody has questions about Bryce Underwood. I don't know if anyone has a question about Julian Sayin right now. He's been so good, but I think this is his toughest task, not just from a emotion standpoint, but from an X's and O's standpoint.
So you think Michigan has a better defense than Texas?
Their current form versus week 1 Texas, I think so.
Okay. Think it's better than Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay. I think that Michigan struggles in the secondary. And that's why I think the pass rush has to be so on point for Michigan in this one if they want to win the game. I don't think Zeke Berry or J.R. Hill, Jerry Hill, not Jerry, J.R. Hill. Probably saying it wrong. I apologize. I don't think they can cover Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. I don't think they can cover Brandon Inniss and Jeremiah Smith. I don't think they have a true free safety back there. They got a lot of safeties that want to come up and hit. Mason Curtis, Brandon Hillman. Like, they got a lot of safeties that want to come up and hit. They don't really have a deep safety back there.
Mm-hmm.
If Julian Sayin has time, I think you could see a little bit of what happened against Minnesota. You could see a little bit of what happened against Penn State, where they're just running up over the top of this Michigan secondary, and Julian Sain has been so accurate with the deep ball that he's able to hit him. And even if Michigan wants to try and get some pass interference or something like that, I still think there might be so much separation that it doesn't matter. But the key to that is that the offensive line for Ohio State has to protect, and you have to get a running game that is effective enough to create favorable opportunities in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Jackson's been better. It was against Rutgers last game where he was good. So Rutgers not a good rush defense. But to me, Bo Jackson's one of the biggest X factors in this one. He doesn't need to go out there and run for 150 plus yards. He just needs to go out there and not get stuffed and put them in third and long situations consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Max Clare is also an X factor in this game.
Yes.
To me though, honestly, I think the biggest X factor is Michigan's quarterback. Because I think similar to what I said about Damon Williams for Washington, I think it's on the table. Like on one hand, he's a freshman going against Matt Patricia's defense. He could be confused out of his mind. On the other hand, you don't know what you don't know. And he's just like, screw it. I'm just going to play hero ball and actually just plays brilliantly. And I've been on record. I refuse to pick Ohio State in this game because I think it's maybe because I'm just a hardened Ohio State fan, and I've picked them 3 out of the past 4 years and have been wrong all 3 of those times. But I think unlike last year where they didn't have a quarterback, you actually have a legit quarterback preparing, training with talent, oozing talent. And yes, I think he is I think 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 out of 100 times, I think Ohio State wins this game. And I think if Ohio State gets up 2 or 3 scores early, this game's over. It really is. But I need to see it before I can pick it.
I think that Bryce Underwood is going to play well in this one, but you're going to see what you've seen all season from him, which is just passes that are way too high at different times, right? Yep. And I think that's going to be the key for this Ohio State defense. I think they're going to stop, Michigan pretty well, but I do think Michigan's probably going to get a breakaway run or 2 that puts them in a favorable situation. That's just what Michigan does. Jordan Marshall's going to be back in this game. Jordan Marshall's really good back. We've sung his praises on this show multiple times. But I think if Ohio State wants to come out and win this game, they have to take advantage of those bad throws by Bryce Underwood that happen pretty much every game. Because Bryce Underwood is going to be known for a pass here or there that he doesn't set his feet right for, that he tries to make too much of a hero play. It's going to sail over the wide receiver's head. And who's going to be back there? Is Jalen McClain or Caleb Downs going to be back there to get the pick? If they take advantage of those opportunities, I think there's no chance Ohio State loses this game. But if they don't take advantage of those, like if Michigan turns it over 5 times like they did against Northwestern, there's no way Michigan wins this game. I can't imagine that Michigan wins this game if that happens. But crazier things have happened in this rivalry, so who knows?
Yep.
So, but I do think that if Michigan is going to win this game, it's going to take some crazy plays from Andrew Marsh. Like there are just going to have to be some third downs or something happen where it looks like an improbable catch. Davis Igbinosun is all over Andrew Marsh and he still is able to come down with the catch somehow. Like they're going to have to probably be at least 2 or 3 plays like that. The tight ends are going to have to make plays. Zach Marshall, Marlon Klein. Like you're going to have to see that stuff. And also too, this offensive line from Michigan has to hold up. I know Michigan's offensive line, they were in like the Joe Moore Award and stuff like that, but they still are starting 3 redshirt freshmen in this game. Like this is a really good Ohio State defensive line that is arguably the best in the Big Ten this season. Caden McDonald is a beast. Caden Curry is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Caden Curry could be in Bryce Underwood's face all game long.
Yeah. Do you think Arvell Reese spies Underwood?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Michigan could struggle offensively in this one is because, if Bryce Underwood's not able to pass the ball and he tries to, get out and run with it like he has done, not a lot this season, but he has done it some this season, I think Arvell Reese is going to be waiting here for him. So,
Yep.
but it's interesting. I am not going to pick Ohio State to win the game. I'm going to pick Ohio State that they should win the game. This is my loophole. I said I would never pick Ohio State to win this game against Michigan again until they actually win it. So I'm going to pick Michigan to win technically, like 20-17 or something like that. So that'll be my technical pick. But my pick for what Ohio State should do is Ohio State should win this game 31-17.
I'm not going to do a should. I just am going to say straight up, I think Michigan wins 20-17. And I hope I'm wrong. I'll say you guys know what I hope happens, but
yeah.
Again, I need to see it before I can believe it. And I think there is a pathway. There are more pathways for Michigan to win this year than there were last year.
But are those pathways as concrete? I think Michigan had a more concrete pathway of winning, which is Ohio State misses field goals and they don't, and Will Howard just completely craps the bed, and Ryan Day gets too much into the run game. I think that was a more concrete way of winning. I agree with you. Michigan probably has more pathways to win this one, but I don't think they're as concrete. Like, even if Bryce Underwood comes out and throws for 350 yards and multiple touchdowns, who's to say Julian Sayin doesn't do the same thing on the other side?
We're getting, maybe I'm just getting called out, but Bootzilla says this is weak sauce. I hear you, but let's be real. Nobody thought Michigan had a prayer of winning last year. Not with Davis Warren at quarterback.
No, but I do remember talking about this game with you last year and saying, like, Michigan doesn't have a whole lot of ways to win this game, but the way they do is that Michigan's offensive line or Michigan's defensive line dominates. Ohio State plays really good defense, but there's one big long run that breaks away and wins the game for Michigan.
Yeah,
and that happened.
That's fair. That's fair. I still can't move off of it until I see it.
All right. Ohio State should win this game. If Ohio State comes out and play the way that they have played this season, and Michigan comes out, has some of the inconsistencies they've had this season, Ohio State should win this game. If Ohio State doesn't win this game, I'm not going to say that Michigan didn't win the game and Ohio State lost it, because I try not to be disrespectful like that. But I will say Ohio State made some grave mistakes and did not perform in the big moments.
Agreed.
That they needed to. So. All right. Anything else on this game before we move
on? No. I'd like to move on before I throw up.
Okay. Hey, like and subscribe here to the Big Ten Huddle. Zach might just throw up on the channel at some point if you do that. So
don't advertise it like that. That's not gonna get subscribers.
You never know. But yes, please do like and subscribe. We would definitely appreciate that. All right, moving on so we don't have to talk about Zach's puke anymore. Illinois at Illinois, Northwestern at Illinois on FanDuel. Illinois favored in this one by 6.5. The over-under set at 46.5. Illinois, of course, coming off the terrible loss to Wisconsin. Northwestern coming off a big win against Minnesota. A lot of momentum for Northwestern in this one. And to me, Illinois is going to have to face their demons once again. Northwestern has more of a pass rush than I think some people give them credit for. They've not been able to finish off with the sacks and have a huge sack total this year, but they have been able to put pressure on the quarterback. So Illinois' offensive line needs to protect Luke Altmaier and do a good job with that. And then, like we just saw last game, Northwestern, who went from scoring 3 points in their season opener against Tulane, went out and scored 38 points against Minnesota. Have to note, this game is at home for Illinois, but I think this is a game where Illinois is going to have to re-exercise their demons a little bit, and if they want to pull this one out, they are going to have to correct some of these issues that we've seen all season long with the defense, the offensive line, and pass protection, and those kind of things. Zach, what's your thoughts on this game?
if you asked me what I thought about this game 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, well, yeah, Illinois is going to cover this easy. I don't know how I feel about this anymore because I think Northwestern has a couple of receivers that could exploit Illinois. Like Griffin Wilde just knows how to get open, like flat out. He's been so good for the Wildcats. And then Elegon was a revelation last week against Minnesota. 127 yards on 7 catches. He was very good. He's coming on strong. He's a sophomore, 6'4", 210 pounds. They've got a really good running back in Kamalafe. And Preston Stone, when he has time in the pocket, he can run the RPO. This is an offense that has really started to hit its stride. And it's against a defense that a lot of Illinois fans want to fire their defensive coordinator. So I am not sure. And especially with Illinois coming off that loss, I'm like, man, I trust Luke Altmaier. I think he's the X factor in this game. But how's he doing, especially now that like all of his goals are gone, right? Like they weren't just thinking, let's get to a bowl game. They were thinking playoff. They were thinking New Year's Day bowl. They might still get to New Year's Day bowl, but like a lot of the things they were hoping for they're not fighting for anymore.
They could still make program history, though. If they win 9 games this season, they've never followed up a 10-win season with 8 wins, I think.
Yeah.
Or if they have done 8 wins, it's been like once or twice. They have never followed up a 10-win season with 9 or more wins. It's never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they are still playing for some program history stuff here. I definitely understand your sentiment of the team is most likely down. And this is going to be a very big test of Brett Bielema, of his culture building, of his ability to get his guys to continue to play hard for their coaches, for their team. And, Brett Bielema's got to make some really tough decisions here in the offseason. Bart Miller, the offensive line coach, Brett's been with him for a while. And Aaron Henry has been with Brett for a while as well. And quite frankly, neither of those two guys are getting it done this season. And if Illinois wants to be a team that has the hopes of the playoffs, they're going to have to hire some better assistants because, listen, Xavier Scott went out. Xavier Scott was a huge blow for this Illinois team. You cannot understate that. However, you cannot have your entire defense hanging in the balance of one player, right? Illinois in this game has to remember who they are as a defense. They are an opportunistic defense that gets turnovers, puts their offense in good situations, and are able to take advantage of bad play from their opponent. They have got to take advantage of bad play from Preston Stone. He did not have a whole lot of turnover-worthy plays against Minnesota, but he's probably going to have some in this one because he's had them all season long. Illinois has to take advantage of it. They have to play confident, and they have to play complementary defense. If they don't do that, Northwestern's going to win this game. But if if Illinois can come out there and play some strong defense, watch out. I think Illinois is going to win this game if they do that. Doreen does come in with the 7-month membership. Thank you, Doreen. She says, it's hate week, go Bucks. Doreen, we just talked about the Ohio State and Michigan game. Appreciate you being here. Zach picked Michigan to win, so that's all I'll say.
I'm sorry.
She reposted the stream. She might unrepost it after that. I'm just joking. Thank you, Doreen. We appreciate you being here, reposting the stream, and being a member for 7 months. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the other piece of this too is special teams. Hank Beatty has been good this season on special teams, and Northwestern, they gave up a 93-yard kick return to Coy Parrish. They gave up the return to Nebraska. Northwestern has not had very good special teams this season, and for a Northwestern team that I think is better than what people think, it's been a lot of the hidden stuff of the turnovers and the bad special teams that has really come up against them in this one. If Northwestern can fix their special teams, they have an even better shot of winning this one, obviously. But it's been such an issue all season long. Illinois has to take advantage of that if they want to win this game.
Yeah. The other thing, speaking of special teams, David Alano has to get his act together, right? Like, missed a field goal last game.
37-yarder.
And 37-yarder. I think, like, that the score is misleading with Illinois and Wisconsin. And I think if Alano hits that field goal, I think things probably feel a lot different. going into half because it's 10-10 rather than 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
I so they've got to get that figured out. I tend to think that Brett Bielema gets it done on senior day at home. I this is not an easy out for Illinois at all. But I think Luke Altmaier, senior leadership, Brett Bielema I gets it done. I think Illinois wins 27-24.
I'm going to pick Illinois to win this one as well, but kind of same caveat I was talking about. You have got to correct these issues that you've had at Illinois all season long. They don't have to be perfect, but you
Mhm.
cannot go in here and let Northwestern get a pass rush on Luke Altmaier. And you also have to be able to run the ball. I know Luke Altmaier has been utilized in the run game more, and that's been helpful for them, but you cannot rely on Luke Altmaier to be the only guy to run
Right.
and win this game for you. You have to get more production from the backs, and you have to get better pass block or better run blocking from the offensive line. And the offensive line's run blocking has not been bad. They kind of corrected that against USC. It's been better, but I do think that Northwestern, can stop the run a little bit better. And also, you can't get run on by this Northwestern team either. Caleb Komalafe,
Mhm.
good back.
Love is really good.
And Northwestern, if they excel at anything on the offensive line, it's run blocking. Their size, their strength, they'll be able to take you down. So
Mhm.
I have Illinois winning this one 31-20. I do think Northwestern scores a little bit, but I think Northwestern's going to turn it over a little bit. And I think Illinois gets at least one special team score, whether that's a blocked punt, kick return, punt return, something like that. Um, and I think that pushes it over the edge for Illinois, and they win this
Mm.
one. So,
Good pick.
all right. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
All right. Non-rivalry game, but Rutgers is playing for bowl eligibility in this one. Penn State at Rutgers. Penn State favored by 13.5 on FanDuel. Over/under set at 56.5. I'm done taking the over on Rutgers games because Rutgers just they are a team that everybody thinks scores a whole bunch of points, and they did score a bunch against Maryland. Don't get me wrong, they scored 35 in that one, but this Rutgers team has just not been consistent enough in the red zone. They've not been consistent enough. Once they move the ball down the field, they're able to accumulate yards. They can do that, but they are not a team that is scoring the ball consistently enough for me to take the over in this one, unless you just think that Penn State's going to go out there and just completely blow Rutgers out of the water, which they definitely could do that. This is the worst rush defense in college football. I kid you not. Rutgers is the worst rush defense in college football. They're going up against Katron Allen, who has been a beast this season, and they're going up against Nicholas Singleton, who I know he's struggled this season, but man, you let him get out in the open, you let him go. I would not be surprised at all if we're walking away from this game and Nicholas Singleton has 2 or 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards rushing.
Yep. I think not a ton of analysis here, except Penn State's a different animal. When they play up to their potential, and I know they're 5-6, but when they play up to their potential, there's a reason why they were number 2 in the preseason.
Uh-huh.
And there is nothing here that makes me think it's going to go any other way than a Penn State blowout. So I have Penn State 49, Rutgers 17.
Mm-hmm. Sam reminds me that Penn State's playing for bowl eligibility too. I should not be thinking that Penn State's playing for bowl eligibility in week 14. But Sam, thank you for the reminder, as that needs to be said as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a path for Rutgers to win this game other than Ian Strong and KJ Duff just go crazy, and Penn State, the Andy Kotelnicki special comes out and he just tries to get too cute on offense and he stalls drives.
I don't think Terry Smith's going to let him.
I don't think so either. I think Terry Smith's running a pretty good show over there right now, and he's not letting the coordinators do any of their stuff. That you think Jim Knowles is back next year at Penn State?
No.
What would you think if Illinois hired Jim Knowles?
Don't do it.
Illinois fires Aaron Henry?
Get someone who's less complicated. I
But
think
Bert wouldn't let him be complicated though.
Well, but if you're not going to let him do what he wants to do, then get someone who is actually going to run something that you want him to do.
I mean, he ran a good defense against Michigan State, ran a good defense against Nebraska. When you rein him in, he can run a good defense. Run a really good defense. He had the best defense in the nation at Ohio State.
Nebraska has a backup quarterback, and Michigan State benched their starter.
They have one of the best running backs in the nation, though, Emmett Johnson.
I'm just saying. Well, yeah, and in the first series, he gave up a 52-yard rush to Emmett Johnson. So
He didn't give up two.
No, but this is what Jim Knowles does. This is what Jim Knowles does. Look, he has there are a lot of good things about Jim Knowles.
Well, then where do you think Knowles is going to be next season? Then, if he's not at Penn State, if he's not at Illinois, think he goes back to the Big 12. You think that
I think he fits in the Big 12.
Who would hire him from the Big 12? Oklahoma State goes back there. They just hired that Morris, North Texas guy.
Maybe. I mean that job is a dumpster fire right now.
I'm going to be really, really interested to see where Jim Knowles heads to next season.
I'll tell you where he's not going. He's not going back to Ohio State.
No, he's not. I am also going to be interested to see what Rutgers does with their coordinators, because I think it's almost inevitable that Rutgers will be hiring a new defensive coordinator. Pep Hamilton, he's the Rutgers guy, right? He's not Maryland.
I forget.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now. I always get the Maryland. Oh no, it's Kirk Soraka. What am I talking about?
Oh yeah,
Kirk Soraka. There at Rutgers. He's not going anywhere. But I think you could see Rutgers move on from their defensive coordinator at the end of the season.
Yeah, Rob Smith and Zach Sparber.
Yeah, Phillips right. Burt will probably find somebody that no one knows about to be their defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
That's more a Burt move. So, all right. Anything else on Penn State Rutgers?
No.
Okay. Iowa at Nebraska is probably our last big game to talk about. We got Michigan State, Maryland after this, but this is probably the last big one. Iowa, Nebraska, both teams 7-4 right now. Both teams need this win, in my opinion. Pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa's favored in this one by 6.5 over Nebraska. The over/under is set at 39.5. I think Nebraska's season is a failure if they don't win this game, for numerous different reasons, and I said that on Twitter earlier. It is the Heroes game. They're playing for the Heroes Trophy. Nebraska does lead the series 30-22. Tell me what you think about this. I think we should rename this rivalry from the Heroes game, because it doesn't really fit. I mean, I know it's like an old name and stuff, and I feel bad taking away the old names. Would you rather call it the Rural Rumble?
The Rural Rumble?
Mm-hmm. I was workshopping this name a little bit because I think Iowa, Nebraska needs a new rivalry name.
Man, there's a lot of old WWE memories that come to mind with that.
Does Kirk Ferentz and Matt Rule give you old WWE memories?
No.
Okay.
No, I think
maybe this name is not good. Sorry.
No, but I do like it. I think it's fun.
No, but two farming teams. They're both rural teams. They're out there. You got the Cornhusker. Yeah, I think it could work well.
What about the blue blood that stopped being a blue blood versus the team that never will be a blue blood because Kirk Ferentz coaches there?
A little long.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. Shorten it up, and then we'll work it a little bit more. Name the rivalry after Kirk Ferentz. I haven't looked at the comments. Do you guys like the Royal Rumble?
I actually think it is a good name. I like
the
it.
Corn War they have. The corn contest. Yeah.
Everybody gets one free bag of popcorn when they go to this game.
Free popcorn as you walk in through the door.
It's like close to 11 o'clock. This is why the banter has ramped up.
Yeah. Tenga says that Iowa will win. Oh, sorry. Let me bring that down right away. I tend to agree. I agree. I think that Iowa's going to win this game. I think that Iowa had a rough outing against Michigan State, but I think that was more so because they had just played Oregon and USC back-to-back. I agree. I think they're going on the road in this one. It will be another, tough going on the road again and stuff, but boy, I just think Iowa's line of scrimmage is too good against Nebraska's line of scrimmage, and we just saw Penn State just absolutely annihilate Nebraska's run defense, and I can't not see that happening. Maybe Iowa tries to pass the ball too much and they fall away from the run game, but I mean, it's not like Nebraska played a whole bunch of tough teams in a row, and that's why they were down. I think they had the bye week before Penn State, didn't they?
Yep. Yeah. I think Moulton and other Iowa backs are going to just gash Nebraska all game long.
I think you can see Jazz Patterson be the leading rusher in this one.
That's very possible. Yeah. I think TJ Lateef has a bright future, but I just don't think he's going to be up for this game. And I agree with you. The lines of scrimmage are just massively in favor of Iowa. And in this game, if you have the better lines of scrimmage, you're going to win.
Phil says corn war, and the trophy is a cornhole board game. Game board, sorry.
I like that. I've got Iowa 27, Nebraska 10.
Sorry, I'm really stuck on the name thing. Iowa what, you said?
27, Nebraska 10.
Oh, boy. I don't think Nebraska gets blown out.
I don't know if it feels like a blowout, but like I could see where it's like 17-10 in the fourth quarter. And then Iowa kicks a field goal to kind of extend it to 2, and then Lateef throws a pick 6.
I mean, maybe. Lateef's done a pretty good job of hanging on to the ball, hasn't he?
Yeah,
but really put it in terrible situations. He kind of goes to his leg right away.
Like Phil Parker.
Yeah.
Phil Parker.
Could see Lutmer getting a pick 6 in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this game is going to stay close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Iowa has everything they need to win this game, but I also don't want to just completely discount Nebraska just because of what we saw against Penn State. That was a game that was on the road. I know Nebraska was coming off the bye, and so that was an unfortunate thing there, but I don't think Matt Rule is going to go down easy. I think you could see TJ Lateef have a pretty good game. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and throw for a bunch of yards. I think he could run a little bit in this one. I think Emmett Johnson's going to really come out and play really strong in this one. I don't think that Iowa's going to completely contain Emmett Johnson. I think he's going to have another really strong game in this one. And I'm going to pick Iowa to win 24-20, but we've seen Nebraska be better in late game situations in 1-score games this season. And I do think that if it's a late game situation, Nebraska has more of a chance than that they've had in the past, but I'm still going to go with Iowa.
I agree with you, but I just don't think they're going to keep it close. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to keep it within 1 score by the fourth quarter.
Because you think Iowa's just going to run all over them?
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, what I saw against Penn State was shocking how poor the blocking was up front.
Yeah. I do think the interior of Nebraska's offensive line is not terrible.
It's not terrible, but it's not enough to hold up against Maxwell and those boys. I think it's going to be
Phil
rough.
says Iowa 6, Nebraska 4, all safeties. Boy, that would be a treat.
That'd just be painful.
We watched this at noon. Iowa, Nebraska, all safeties, 5 safeties in the game. And the next day we watch UCLA and USC, and it's 52-42, like Bobby Mack said.
Yeah.
The duality of the Big Ten Conference if that happens.
I was going to say, I feel like we got to get to Michigan State and Maryland because, I'm yawning.
I will say one last thing about this game, and then we'll move on. Iowa should destroy Nebraska. Iowa should win this game 31-10. Because of what they have up front, because of their run game and everything else.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Loophole.
And also, Doc brings it up, Weegan. as well.
Yeah.
Nebraska's special teams have been very, very improved this season. I don't think they're going to let Weechin beat them.
Watch,
I
he has
think
2 return touchdowns this week.
Okay, well, if that happens,
Oh, Max,
screw
I
me.
love it. Actually, so I do have a legitimate thing. So I'm currently recording in the room that my dad's going to be sleeping in. My dad is downstairs watching the show while I record, but this is where he's sleeping tonight. So we really got to finish the show.
Okay, all right, one more for Zach's dad. We won't keep him up any longer. Maryland at Michigan State. How do I bring down the comment there?
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go. Maryland at Michigan State on FanDuel. Michigan State favored by 3.5 in this one. Over under at 48.5. Listen, we cover the Big Ten. We do a Big Ten podcast, so we're gonna watch this game. I don't like to say this about the Big Ten because I want to give the Big Ten some credit and some respect, but boy, if you sit down to watch this game and this is the only game on your TV, you are a true Big Ten sicko if you watch this entire game in its entirety. Michigan State is not good and Maryland is not good. Holy cow. I do not look forward to watching this game. I'm sorry. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Who wants to lose less? That's my thought. So this is the hard thing is like, if you asked me 4 weeks ago who I thought would win this game, I'm like Maryland by multiple scores.
It should be Maryland, yeah.
Yeah. But like Michigan State put up a pretty good fight against Iowa, and Maryland has looked hapless. Like they got blown out against Michigan. They got beat by 15 against Rutgers. They only scored 6 against Illinois, and Illinois' defense is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, and Michigan State doesn't want to win. I'm convinced of it at this point. Like they don't want to win games. So I don't know what to make of this game, but here's what I kind of came down to is that I think Michigan State got an Iowa team coming off multiple like tough games. So I don't think I think that's why Iowa struggled against Michigan State. But I think Maryland has hit the freshman wall, and it really doesn't matter who they play. I think they're out of gas. And so I don't buy how Michigan State played against Iowa, but I do buy the fact that I think Maryland has kind of run out of bandwidth. And so I have Michigan State winning by a point.
What's the score?
21-20.
Okay. I have Maryland winning 28-24.
I could see it happening. But again, it's feel for me.
I've seen more winning football this season out of Maryland than I have seen from Michigan State.
I agree.
I mean, Maryland's 4-7, Michigan State's 3-8. And I do think that Michigan State's offensive line, while it has shown some improvement lately, I do think Zahir Mathis and Sidney Stewart are going to get after Alessio quite a bit in this one. And I do think that Malik Washington, if his receivers can just catch the ball, holy cow, if these receivers can just catch the ball, they'll win. But and Dorian Fleming too, man. Dorian Fleming, he was open so many times in that Michigan game, probably 2 or 3 times, and he just dropped it.
Yep.
So my caveat is Maryland wins 28-24. If they don't catch the ball, Michigan State wins 24-10. That's my caveat. That's how many points I have it there. So, all right. Do you have an SEC upset?
I'm riding with Mississippi State over Ole Miss. Egg Bowl chaos.
Okay. I'm trying to decide between Georgia Tech, and Alabama Auburn. Georgia Tech is 13.5. Alabama Auburn is 5.5. You know what? Kalen DeBoer is trying to get the Penn State job, and he loses so that way he can leave early. Doesn't make the playoffs. I'll take Auburn beating Alabama because they are one of the most inconsistent teams in all of college football. So, And actually, if you look at the PFF betting assistant that I have, they say to take Auburn to cover in this one. So,
Yep.
who knows? Maybe they know something. We'll see. All right, Zach. Anything else?
It's bedtime.
Philip says Georgia Tech beats Georgia, so we've got that one covered too.
Yep.
There we go. So, all right, everybody. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching to the Big Ten Huddle. We will be back. I'll be back on Friday night. I'll have some videos and stuff like that I'll be releasing on Thanksgiving Day. So if you guys are traveling or anything like that, you can have some content there to watch. But those will be like made on Wednesday, and I'll just schedule them for Thursday. So check them out there. And we'll be back Friday night, be back Saturday night, power rankings, and of course we'll be back Sunday night to recap it all. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.